Welcome to Recap Our Studio.
The opening sequence reveals an introverted scientist called Lena working alone. People in biodefense suits and behind glass want to know what she's been up to over the previous 4 months. No, Lena doesn't know the answer to that. The next scene depicts a flying object that crashes to Earth in a desolate place. Lena is now giving a lecture on cell biology to aspiring doctors. Dan, a co-worker, approaches her after class and extends an invitation to attend a barbecue on the next Saturday. Since it had been a year since her husband's disappearance, Dan said Lena needed some time to relax. However, Lena turned down the offer. Lena Kane's husband was in the military, and she still can't get over his death, so she keeps a picture of him on a necklace around her neck. Lena felt it was time to give the walls a new coat of paint. And then, out of nowhere, her spouse returned home, healthy and whole. Lena, who was certain that he is dead, was dumbfounded. Lena eventually questioned Cain and requested an explanation. None of his unit's members had been seen for some time. People assumed they had passed away. Cain is incapable of providing a logical response. He claims to have woken up at the home at some time after Cain's wife discovered his blood and the glass from which he drank, but other than that, he has no idea where he has been for so long. Lena quickly dialed 911 as he started to convulse. Cain and Lena were forcefully taken from the ambulance by military personnel. They refused to listen to Lena's pleading to release her husband and sedated her instead. She felt queasy as soon as she opened her eyes in the unfamiliar environment. Dr. Ventress soon paid a visit to Lena. In my capacity as a psychiatrist or psychologist, she had her fill her in on whatever she could regarding Sergeant King's assignment. Lena is completely in the dark about what is happening. The night before he left, Cain's critical illness has been reported by her husband's family, who are experts in mission work. It was decided that Lena could go outdoors. As it turns out, she's at a military facility in the vicinity of a mysterious anomaly. Its origins and nature are a mystery. 3 years ago, when a complaint was made that a mist encircled the lighthouse, Ventura claimed it all began. It was left to be investigated by one of the inspectors who then disappeared. The details were kept secret. They repeatedly sent man, animal, and drone units to the area. Unfortunately, I heard nothing. Cain's condition was deteriorating rapidly. Lena remembers the religious discussions she and her husband had. Lena considers aging to be a divine oversight rather than a natural process. Cain avoided answering his wife's question regarding his impending assignment. In the evening, Donu presented Lena to the rest of the crew, including Cassie and Josie. They are all scientists, and in 6 days, under Venture's direction, they will go to the Shimmer Zone. Lena went to see her husband and told him she understood his motivation for going. Lena questioned Ventress about her motivations for visiting the Shimmer Zone the next day. Despite her best efforts, Ventress will not be able to reach the lighthouse, which she has pinpointed as the most likely origin of the anomaly, in time. Lena hopes to travel because she thinks she may be of value there, given that she spent 7 years in the military before becoming a scientist. After resting for a full week, the squad finally left into the zone 6 days later. Very quickly, they were able to cross the border. And then we find her bewildered and sleeping it off in the tent. It turns out that after all this time, no one on their crew can recall exactly how they pitched their tents. They have been in the Shimmer Zone for nearly 3 days based on the supplies they still have. Josie, please verify the equipment. Nothing that may potentially broadcast signals to the outer world is functioning properly. Also, the compass is acting quite weirdly, but the group plans to go on. They arrived to the marsh not long after that, which is next to the structure. Flowers that may have been used as wedding decor were woven into the fence. Lena finds it odd that many flower species are developing on the same branch. It was as if time had stopped for them while they were undergoing a particularly lengthy mutation. Researchers were doing a soil study and sample collection. Josie was walking by the empty home when she felt a tug on her heart. They all swarmed over to her and helped haul her to safety on the surface. As soon as the researchers left the safety of the cabin, they saw a massive crocodile plunge into the swamp, re-emerge on land, and start making its way directly toward them. The ladies took turns shooting at the creature, and eventually Lena managed to incapacitate it. Lena later investigated the creature and came to the conclusion that its genetic makeup had been severely altered due to its fondness for flowers. The researchers found that the alterations in all forms of life were more evident the closer they went near the lighthouse. Everything felt like a lovely dream. Lena's spouse has died away, she said Cassie when she inquired whether the two were married. There was a compelling motivation for each of these ladies to come here. Cassie admitted she was a mother who had lost her child. It came to your attention all of a sudden. Researchers, once on shore, zeroed in on the spot formerly occupied by the Southern Limit headquarters before it was absorbed by the Glimmer. When the crew decided to set up in the old canteen to test out their new weaponry, Lena saw the names of the previous expedition's participants on the board, and the atmosphere became even more foreboding. Josie put the memory card onto her computer and discovered 2 enterprises that had been eliminated and a message for the people who would follow. Cain and another soldier are seen in the video attempting to conduct surgery on one of their own. A vital force persisted deep inside his body. The findings completely floored the investigators. A few people, in their terror, attempted to pretend nothing had occurred. As time went on, the ladies located the soldier's corpse. Josie decided she didn't want to remain here since she realized the place was unsafe. They spent the night on the lookout tower while everybody else slept. After Lena examined the mutating cells under the microscope, she approached Ventress, who was stationed in the watchtower. As far as Brave is concerned, Lena made the correct choice by keeping the team in the dark about her marital status to Cain. Lena can't understand why her husband consented to go on a journey from which no one has ever returned, since she shares his belief that most people are doomed to destroy themselves. It's predetermined at the level of the cells. There was an abrupt sound in the area. The ladies all gasped in terror. Linus, using his night vision binoculars, saw an intruder breach the perimeter barrier. Suddenly, a large creature pounced on Cassie and carried her away. The ladies were unable to aid her. The following day, Josie and Dawn listened to you when you stated it was time to leave the Shimmer Zone, but Ventress was determined to go to the lighthouse no matter what it took. Lena persuaded you and Josie to go on since exiting the zone via the bank presented less obstacles. Here and now. Lena confessed lying and said her belief that returning to the area was futile because of how hazardous it still was. She had cancer, so she had nothing to lose by taking risks. However, no one else on the team was aware of this. Once the scientists located Cassius's boots, Lena began searching the region in the vain hope that Cassie was still alive. Suddenly, she beheld fantastical beings that clearly did not originate from this planet. Then Lena found Cassius's corpse and had to break the news to the rest of the crew. The researchers once again located a deserted structure, and this time they decided to spend the night there. Because of the refraction and mixing of the signals, Josie's visitors couldn't be picked up outside the zone. Perhaps this is why plant life often mimics the human body. Human, plant, and animal DNA are all refracted in the Shimmer Zone like light through a prism. After Ventress advised the ladies to close and lock all the windows and doors, they went to investigate the residence. Lena decided to have a blood test and examine the results under a microscope late at night. The outcome struck her as ridiculous. She recalled telling Dan that they should not have spent the night together. After Lena woke up, she saw you waving a pistol at her and accusing her of lying. After some time had passed, Lena when Ventress and Josie woke up bound to a tree, they discovered Linus's necklace, which depicted a pair of canes. Since only Lena and Ventura saw the bear on your crying and confessing that there was something living inside of her, the circumstances surrounding Kathy's death seem odd to you. She had planned to eliminate the witnesses because she didn't want you to end up like that soldier, but then she heard pleas for assistance. If you heard a female voice throughout your outburst, it was probably Cassie. Eventually, the scientists noticed that the voice had ceased and were met with a chilling growl. A multi-animal chimera appeared at the door. It slowly circled the immobile females. The creature's jaws opened, and Cassius's cry for assistance echoed out. A wounded Anu barged in and opened fire suddenly. They swooped down on her and devoured her. After that, Josie was able to stop the hybrid's assault on Lena. Ventress said they had to go immediately since their bodies and minds are falling apart. As quickly as possible, they need to reach the lighthouse. After Ventress departed, Josie approached Lena and inquired how long her husband had been in the Shimmer Zone. What they don't comprehend is how he escaped. Lena conceded that Josie was correct that refraction plays a role. The results of the blood test proved it. For instance, Cassie was absorbed by the monster that had pulled her away. It seemed like a vine had grown out of Josie's skin. Because she doesn't want the same fate as Cassie, she left. Lena followed closely after, but she eventually disappeared from her sight. A fit of hysteria overtook Lena. She strolled to the beach after calming down, taking in the otherworldly scenery that seemed out of place in this world. Eventually, Lena located the beacon. Lena entered and discovered a dead corpse and a video camera. She watched over the recorded material. Cain has apparently been to the lighthouse before. Something strange and unexplainable happened to him throughout his assignment. After a while, Cain revealed to the camera that he was no longer human. After his mental decline became too much to handle, he planned to terminate his life. Cain's double emerged in the video, surprised to discover a hole in the floor in disembodied sounds after Cain had begged an unseen entity to locate Lena. After Lena entered, Ventress became completely wild. She now has the contents of the lighthouse inside her. In other words, it's not a human being but something completely different. All life on Earth is being consumed by one thing, and it wants more. The term for this is annihilation. Suddenly, an overwhelming surge of energy poured out of Ventress's lips, obliterating Ventress and everything in its path. Location has several facets. Lina was transfixed by the ebb and flow at its center. Then, suddenly, an extraterrestrial being materialized in front of her, and she ran in terror. Lina pulled the trigger. Lina tried to flee in haste, but the monsters intercepted her before she could go very far. There was direct eye contact between them. The extraterrestrial was first assaulted by Lina, but she was knocked unconscious. Lina woke up and attempted to get away, but the alien caught her and wouldn't let go. Then it started imitating her every action. After Lina threw a grenade in the alien's hand, Lina also got to her feet. When they made contact, the alien assumed her shape and an explosion occurred. Lina managed to escape, but the ensuing fire spread to the nearby lighthouse. Lina retreated from the burning lighthouse as the thing made its way back toward the ocean. After the alien's corpse started to decompose, the shimmer zone did as well. The glow faded away totally after a short while. Here and now. Paulina was unable to provide a satisfactory description of the extraterrestrial to the scientists. As of right now, she has no idea whether this lifeform is carbon-based or not. Lina is confused as to the alien's motivations for causing mutations on Earth. The scientist says that the crew arrived to the lighthouse a few hours ago, but found that everything inside had been destroyed by fire. It's likely the extraterrestrial has perished. Lina wanted to know what became of Cain. When the shimmer vanished, it was seen that he had made a complete recovery. Although Lina paid him a visit, she is certain that it is not Cain. The big mystery is, at this point, who she really is.